Hey y'all, how's it going? I'm trading the ES futures on a 2000 tick chart with a 21 EMA. So I got my overnight highs up here, overnight lows down here. Now, so this is our overnight range, and so notice these measured moves here. How these two smaller, well, they're not very small, but these two legs down here make this one bigger leg, and then these two legs up here make this bigger up leg. And so we have this down measured move in play, this up measured move in play. 8 o'clock is around right here when I started looking at the chart. So I saw that we had this, this measured move in play, and then we had a significant attempt to reach it. And then notice this trend line here, that's a break, and then this is the second attempt to reach it right here. So it's like these trends or these measured moves do work as trends. And so you can view it as downtrend, break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower. And so it's all about the price action level. So notice how that there's one leg there, break, second leg to make that one first leg, and then of course that becomes the first leg in another set of two legs, which becomes one leg itself. And so price action gets bigger as more time goes on. And so once again, I'll go through this. We have downtrend, break, first attempt lower, break, second attempt lower, and the entry is on the failure. And then also on the inverse, you have this uptrend, break, first attempt higher, second attempt higher. So notice how after this uptrend breaks, I'm not considering that as a first attempt because that's insignificant, relative in size to that. Of course, at first you'd see like this uptrend, break, first attempt, second attempt, failure. That's a really short picture. As more price action forms, you do have to look at the bigger structures. And so you can see this up move here, break, first attempt higher, and this entry is on the second attempt higher. So it has confluence. You're entering long on the failure to reach this down measured move, and you're entering on the second attempt to reach this up measured move. And so basically I had to wait for it to close back inside of this channel here. So it wasn't just because of that STT right there. It was also because we weren't off of any kind of support here. So we didn't have this uptrend here at the time, obviously. I put it directly to it after, let me show, well, I'm not going to deal with that right now. So basically, this trade was not off of this key entry point because it's the second time it touched it right here. And so I had to wait for it to close back in. We weren't off of any support. We weren't off of, it was nearly a double bottom with this over here, but it wasn't quite off of that. And so I had to wait for it to close back in, otherwise I'm not really buying off any support. And so I used a limit order, and then it pushed higher, pulled back, and then on the second attempt higher, got my target filled. So I got my entry order filled on the correction, and then it made the second leg up. And then it just chopped around a bit. So we push higher here, and so now we have this leg up, and then we have this measured move right here. And someone was asking me about this breakout pullback. So it's like breakout pullback off this range right here. The reason I don't like that is because you just had these couple attempts higher, so that's two legs up, and then you have an overshoot of this channel right here, and then an immediate rush below the EMA. And so when you have an overshoot, you can expect price to have a break, and when you have two legs up, you can expect a reversal. And so when it has those two legs up and then rushes below the EMA really very strongly, you'd be thinking, oh, it's reversing here, with those two legs up and then the overshoot. And so it never reconfirmed. It kind of just took off from there. There's no reason to go long here, in my opinion. It's just not an ideal long. Two legs up already, overshoot. We push higher. We reach this swing high up here, and then also, so this is where it really took off here. So remember how I was explaining this is the second attempt higher, so uptrend, break, first attempt higher, second attempt higher. So this basically creates a new trend, new leg, and so you measure that. Clearly you have that measured move, it meets it exactly. It doesn't even hardly go any higher than that measured move. It's very, very strong level. And so we get up there, we're near this high, we're bouncing off that high, and we're trying to reach this bigger measured move, because when you have a measured move in play, price will try to reach it. And so the way I viewed this short was a failure to reach this measured move. We pushed higher. Oh, and I have this right here marked as a trap. We pushed higher really very strongly, and then it's really just way too bullish, and then it's like you're at a measured move, yes, and you're also at that swing high, but that's not enough reason to go short. Just because you're at a measured move is not a reason to enter. And then just because you're at a previous swing does not mean it's enough reason to enter either. And so this range really wasn't confirmed until after we pushed off of it. I had the line at the time because it looked pretty rangy here. But it really wasn't confirmed, so you can't just take a short from that. It burned you if you did, unless you got a scalp out of it, but I don't like scalping. So basically, we reached it, we pushed off of it, the EMA, it was going below, back above, it looked very, very choppy. It started forming this range right here, no clear entries, and then you got this third attempt here. So first attempt, second attempt, third attempt, it's still closing above the EMA. I didn't like it until it was closing below the EMA, and you couldn't draw a trend line into it. And just like here, that was the last break of this trend line. You could extend it, has more price action forms, and then you can't extend it any further to here. And so we have those attempts. It's clearly failing to reach the overnight, or excuse me, it's clearly failing to reach the measured move up here, and it's finding very strong resistance at this smaller one. And so we closed below the EMA. I liked that. I got out with 1-to-1. I could have pushed it a few more ticks, but and of course, the trend line was right off of this, so there was less room than you see here. The trend line went like straight through there. If you see how I draw it off the body, it would have gone through like right here. So I could have gone a couple more ticks, but it really didn't matter. It was just a couple ticks. I just went for 1-to-1 risk to reward, which is the minimum I go for. And then this trend line did hold. So why is this so extended? Let me just move this back. So at first, this uptrend would be like, right off of here, and then it did bounce off of it right here, but you would adjust it to that. So I would adjust it to right there. And then we push higher here. Clearly we're forming this uptrend. We have these, 1, 2, 3 off these lows, only one off the high, but clearly it's forming here. We push higher. We have this higher low. That's not a very good higher low in my opinion, because the EMA clearly rejected it, and then you're just barely closing back above. You're entering high. It's just, you'd really want to see the EMA hold, not just close above. I mean, there's times when just closing above is okay, but this just doesn't have good context. You're not in a trend, you're in this trend, but you're not in a trend day. You're still in a range overall, and it's not like you're in a strong trend here. Yeah. And then the way you pushed off of that so bearishly, clearly there's some strong resistance there. That second attempt right there, I don't think that's good enough. I just want to see that EMA hold. And so we push higher here. We reach it. We start finding some support. It's too bullish. You don't want to go short just after a spike like that. We correct. We don't reach the EMA. We push out again. And it's not off of anything. It didn't reach that measured move. There's no reason to go short. We push lower here. We bounce. We start, creeping up. We can get this new trend line. It fits off those highs. It's not the, cleanest trend, but it's clearly, there's something there. It's fitting off the highs, fitting off the lows. And then we push up to this major measured move. So this is a major measured move. It took a long time to reach it. We just reached it, and then it made a repeat pattern, which is part of why I liked this next trade so much, because it was a repeat pattern of this, and it was kind of counter trend because we did have this uptrend in play, but it wasn't a super strong uptrend. We were at a major measured move, and we had plenty of room down to that trend line, and plus we were fading this range, which clearly had a lot of resistance up here. So I like that. There was a couple people on the site that got both of these. That was nice to see. I forgot who. I would shout them out right now, but I forgot their names. So anyway, once again, I waited for it to close below the EMA. I have this right here marked as a trap because, so let me just explain this. This bar is breaking this uptrend. You can expect it to have some kind of attempt. You're really, and then you don't even have it above the swing stop. So if you went short here on this break, you should expect a possible attempt higher because it is breaking a trend line. And then you have a stop. It's not above the swing stop. It's just above a bar, very insignificant tick higher, that's not gonna, that's not a very protected stop. So I don't like that. I waited for this attempt higher here, and then I did just put my stop above here, but that's because it was a more major swing. It wasn't, like a continuation tick higher right there. It was a clear its own swing. And then I waited for it to close below the EMA. And then once again, I just did 1-to-1 because of the uptrend. I was tempted to push it further because we clearly had room to the trend line here. We had more room than we did here at first when it was off of that swing. But we were in an uptrend. I didn't want to push it more than 1-to-1. There was a good reason to go short, big measured move. But there's also a lot of bulls because it's in an uptrend, so you got to be careful with your target and not pushing it too far. And so yeah, we push lower here, and we have a second attempt. We can draw this measured move here. So downtrend break. We tried to reach the measured move once. We tried a second time, failed very heavily right there. Now, at this point right here, it was trying to fade the range. It was trying to use it as support, and then it was trying to go long off of it, and it broke right here. Now, I was tempting to go long right here when we were, making this double bottom right here, or it's really a triple bottom if you look at it from here. I was tempting to go long, but it did break. It did have STT in it, and it looked good to go short and long at the same time, really, because you're at the highs of this range and you're at the lows of this uptrend, and then you broke it, which, may make you not want to go long, especially when it's just a confusing area. We didn't push down very far. Clearly, this uptrend is holding, but it broke, so it's just not an ideal area. When it looks good to go short and long at the same time, it's best to just not trade. But we do push higher here, and then, oh yeah, that's right. I was looking for something right here, and I didn't want to take that because, just like I was saying, it looks good to go long and short at the same time. So I wanted something that's really confirming we're going higher if I wanted to go long, and so a choppy higher low was not gonna cut it. But then we did make this big picture failed second entry. So from right here, you can see first entry short, second entry short, failure, and then right here, notice how we reacted off of that major level again, and then so just to show it, that major measured move, we reacted here. Now we're reacting off of it here. We've clearly pierced it through up here, so we can move the resistance up a bit. Now I missed this. This did not happen in front of me. I was out of the room. I didn't trade like any of this, so I haven't seen any of this yet. But yeah, I stopped around. I stopped soon after, like I got back, and then I traded for a little bit into this, and then I just stopped because I was busy doing something. But oh, I kind of got sidetracked there. Oh yeah, so basically this trend did start winning out. It did succeed, and then we had this failed second entry, big picture form, and then I liked it for 1-to-1, or I like it for 1-to-1 because, and it's a good entry, but you wouldn't want to push the target very far because you are into that major measured move. And so, there's people trying to go short up here, there's people trying to go long, continue this trend, and oh, sorry, I keep grabbing things on accident. Sorry, let me just put that back. Let me adjust it. Sorry. All right, so I like that big picture failed second entry. I don't mind pushing it a couple ticks out because it is at a high probability area, which is a, first entry short, second entry short, failure, big picture. We retested the channel here once. We attempted to here, and then the reason I don't like, say going long above here is because this leg you just pushed right off of a major key level, and so you'd want it to play out, and then you have a couple attempts down, and then I would want to wait for this bar until it closes above the EMA. I wouldn't want to enter after these, but once it closes above, that looks good for 1-to-1, even if it's into the resistance a tiny bit. It's just a very good context area. We push higher here. We reach that overnight high. We immediately bounce straight off of it. That's not a good reason to go short just because you reached it. It has been, at this point, it's very bullish at this point. It's confirmed. We just shot straight through that resistance. That's a strong resistance, and it just broke it like that. So I would not want to go short the second that we see a red bar. It didn't hold perfectly off the overnight high anyway. And then we have a second entry, rush straight below the EMA. So I did not like that. We got this higher low. I really would want to see a more separated higher low. That's really just within the same leg up there. I would want to see a clear break and then a hold on the EMA. But we don't get that. We push out again. Once again, we have this two-legged move down going below the EMA. At first, you have the second entry long, which I don't like because that's just way, way too extended. When you have this overshoot, which we clearly have an overshoot, we nearly reached the trend line there. Overshoot right here. That's basically telling you that you're overbought. That's basically how you know you're overbought without some indicator telling you you're overbought, because you're pushing out the high of an up channel. That's a sign of being overbought. That's why when trends get overshoots like this, they often lead to a break. It's because they're overbought. And so, just like I was talking about right here, we had the overshoot, immediately pushed down very, very hard. And so I would not want to go long right there. And then, of course, this next move down here is a two-legged move below the EMA, and then a higher low, no good signal bars or anything like that. And it looks like it's starting to go into range like this. Something like this. So basically, now you're going into a range that's at a overbought area. Of course, it could start to recover and go into a range from here. It looks like it had another big spike up. But yeah, I don't like any of this. It's getting very choppy in here, and then you can't take these breakouts. I mean, that's just crazy. I mean, it's very bullish at this point. It had a first attempt to fade the overnight, second attempt failure. So, yeah, I almost forgot to go over that. We broke out, first attempt to fade, second attempt to fade, and then it's clearly still reacting off this uptrend line. So, and then there's no good long entries here either. It's just chop, 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 And then we rush back below here. Of course, I don't want to go short there. It's not based on anything. It's just, very bullish. Bounce here. There's no entry to go long here. You just rush below the EMA and then reject the EMA. There's no reason to go long, but you do push higher. You get a breakout pullback, and of course, there's no reason to go long here either. It's just a breakout pullback with no good signal bar. Well, you do get a good signal bar here, but this first one is not. And then it's just a push down with no attempt at any kind of second leg. You don't get a break in a couple attempts before you take off. So there's no reason to think that would be high probability right there. And then we push up, correct, have a second leg here, rush below the EMA. So it looks like you technically get a reversal pattern, first entry long, second entry long failure, but that's not big picture, especially that second leg right there, so there's nothing to take. And yeah, that's really it for the day. We push lower, we retrace right here, we get to the EMA, just a first entry, and then, yeah, so this second half, there's really nothing in here, in my opinion. But during the actual session today, the main part, there was some good trades. And I was really happy to see a couple of the members were posting that they got both of these with me. So that was nice to see. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. I kind of rushed near the end, but I do got to go. I've been making these videos later than usual. I haven't been meaning to do that, but because I make them later, sometimes I have to cut them off a little bit early, which I didn't have to do that today, but I would go over this more. I would draw some more stuff, but I gotta go. So I thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you all next time.